And hello YouTube, this is Thomas Judge back once again with another comic related video, and in this pair of videos I'm going to be talking about my comic related coffee table books. You can see a shelf here which is from my main living space. On one side you've got DC coffee table books, on the other side we've got Marvel coffee table books. And when I say coffee table books I mean they're hardcovers. They're not actual comics per se, they're rather indexes or overviews of different comics, but you'll see that in just a second as I dive into the videos. I'm going to do two videos. One of them is going to be covering my DC comics, and the other one is going to be covering the Marvel comic coffee table books. And I'll use the same intro for both of them. As a bit of an overview, these books are all made by a company called DK, and DK Books is a publisher here in the UK. You can see the website here. They do loads of general fact-based or glossary sort of index books, generally coffee table books, cookbooks, index books, reference books, that sort of stuff. And as you can see here, comics is only one small part of what they do. If you click into comics here, you'll see the comics part of the website, which is unfortunately not very well curated. It's quite hard to work out historically which coffee table books they made that are involving Marvel comics or DC comics. To be honest, it's always a bit of a mystery to me. There's not really a good Wikipedia page on it or good index anywhere I could find online. There's not any YouTube videos on it, hence the reason why I'm making this one. Um, so it's really a case of just kind of trawling around, seeing what you can get. If you've got some great Marvel or DC related DK coffee table books and you'd rather share them with me and let me know what they are, let me know where the gaps in my collection are, that'd be great because I honestly don't know what else I need to finish off my collection. So with no further ado, here are two videos about these books.
So hello YouTube, this is the second video I have going through my DK coffee table books. As you can see, this is now the Marvel ones. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them, so I'm going to go through them one at a time. Right, we'll start off with Wolverine. I haven't read this, to be honest. It's a hardcover. It's available for $17.99, and this came out in 2010. I do like the fact that on some of the Marvel ones they do make a bit of an effort with the edging of the pages. But anyway, here we have it. Nice. Actually, that is quite nice. I have not read this at all, so I've got no idea what it's like. I'm hoping it follows the same kind of general format as the DC ones. Seems to. It seems to start off with a lot of, yeah, fair enough, quotes, paraphernalia, a bit of context about his life and his partners. I imagine there'll be a lot of X-Men overlap here. Timeline, classic. The origin for Wolverine origin. I reread that recently actually, and it's alright. Not great, but it's alright. Silver Fox, classic. World War One. Wolverine fighting ninjas. Wolverine Logan. I read this. I think it wasn't very good, from what I recall. Yeah. I read a lot of miniseries. If anyone wants to follow me on Twitter, you'll see that every day or two I'll basically post a one-tweet review of whatever I'm reading at the time. Some days I only read 2 or 3 issues, some days I read like 15 or 20. And I tend to do quick one-tweet reviews of whatever collection I'm doing. This looks good. A lot of detail, a lot of depth, quite a lot of fan service, which is nice. Cool. Wolverine and the X-Men. Yeah, I imagine there's going to be quite a lot of X-Men stuff. Of course, Wolverine and Jean, classic. Yeah, no, this looks good. This looks solid. This looks definitely worth it. I say that, it cost me about £1, so totally worth it. DK books are quite expensive. Ah, yes, Genesis. The feral conversion of Wolverine. Classic issue, this. DK books are quite expensive, to be honest, but I think for a lot of people what happens is they get given them as gifts. I mean, this is the sort of thing that, to be honest, your grandmother would buy for you if she thought that you were into Marvel Comics, and she's desperate to get you a present, so I say that in the sense of if someone doesn't know much about comics, it's hard to know what to get a comic fan. I find this quite a lot personally. Not that I find it hard to get people things for comic fans, but I know that people in my life find it hard to get me gifts. Yeah, Cyber. Death of Wolverine. Ooh, haven't read that. Spoilers. Spoiler warning. And then some Elseworld stuff. And Ultimate Wolverine, who I also love. Cool. Looks like a good book. Looking forward to reading that. Next, we have the Avengers Ultimate Guide, new edition. What year is this from? This is from 2018. Right, so very much towards the tail end of the MCU. Nice cover. Haven't read this either. Let's see what this is about. Yeah, it looks good. Already looking strong. Good bit of information, good bit of context. Nice. Good, the classic Avengers stuff. Yeah, like I say, it's I'm conscious it's hard if you're a comic fan for friends or family or partners to actually get you something, because it's not a matter of, oh, I'll just go and I'll get you the biggest, nicest comic I can. Comic taste varies so much. They're so individual. It's really complicated. It's not like if someone's into fishing, you just buy them an expensive fishing rod at the end. But comics are such a nuanced, complicated area. And so I do think that for a lot of people, what they do when they buy books is they'll go somewhere like a bookshop or HMV, Waterstones, anything like that, and they'll just go, right, I'll buy a guide like this as a gift for someone because I know this person's into comics. So often I think these get gifted to people, and sometimes they're gifted to people who just aren't really into coffee table books, which is totally understandable. But as a result, you will find a lot of these in charity shops. Stark Tower. Nice bit of fan service here, really nice. Kind of the technical overlays, the specs, nice artwork, and of course the obligatory timeline. This is another well-composed coffee table book. I do like it. I do like it. I only started collecting these over the last year or so, to be honest, just because I kept on seeing them in charity shops, and then I thought, you know what, this is probably going to be quite nice just to have on my shelf. And as it is, it's become something I refer to quite a lot. The Korvac Sorrow, I haven't read that. I probably should. I actually haven't read this book at all, so I'm sure there's going to be quite lots of spoilers here, and lots of context and new information about the Avengers that I just wasn't aware of. I mean, this goes back from the original inception of the Avengers, so Golden Age, Silver Age, Bronze Age, all that sort of stuff, which I just know very little about. The Crossing, Name Condition's favourite story arc. Avengers 400. I think I read that. On Onslaught, which I love. I don't care what people say. I know it's hated. I know it's maligned. I love it. Heroes Reborn, I also love. Each to their own. I love it. Destiny War, don't know what that is. I've got all of Brian Michael Bendis' Avengers run now in oversized hardcover, and one of my viewers, one of my 3 human subscribers, as opposed to all the Russian bots, has asked me to do a reading order of it, which I'm actually quite keen to do. It's just on the backlog with everything else, unfortunately. Civil War, yeah, I guess that sort of fits in here with the Avengers stuff. Dark Reign, Ultimate Avengers, Joe Madeira artwork, loving it. Yeah, this looks good. This looks like a good book. Looks like something I'm keen to read. Yeah. I tend to sort of like get through these sort of on the weekends on my downtime rather than anything else. But cool, that's great. Next is the Ultimate Guide to Guardians of the Galaxy. So what year is this? This is 2017. It kind of makes sense. I guess this would have been just after the first movie came out, give or take. Right, let's see what this is like. Yep, as expected, this is strong, lots of text, lots of pictures. I do worry sometimes with these. There are some DK books, I should probably mention, that are just really childish. They're just kind of like one big picture, a couple of blurbs and really big text. They're clearly designed for children. They're designed to be entertainment rather than educational. And not even really entertainment. They're just very kiddie. So I'm always a little bit careful in terms of what I'm gonna get or what I'm gonna buy with DK books. Another reason why I'm always reticent to buy them at full price, because you never know if you're getting one which is aimed at a collector like this. The Stark, I have no idea what that is. You never know if you're going to get one that's aimed at a collector like this, or if you're going to get one which is really aimed at small kids and is kid friendly. I have seen dozens that are aimed at small children. Normally they're a lot thinner, and literally you flick through them once and you're like, yeah, this is clearly not for me. This is just designed for children. So it's always nice to confirm that I bought ones which clearly here have a lot more content, a lot more depth, and are aimed at, for want of a better term, adults. Or enthusiasts, I suppose. So yeah, this looks good. This looks strong. I know very little about Guardians of the Galaxy. I'll be honest, I only really found out anything about them. Nice image. No idea what it is. Looks cool. I only found out anything about them having watched the Marvel movies. So I literally know nothing about them. Generally not a fan of Marvel Cosmic, to be honest. Marvel Cosmic tends to, for me at least, encapsulate the worst flaws of a comic universe. I mean, it's the weakest part of the DC universe. It's the weakest part of the Marvel universe. That's just for me. I know loads of people love cosmic stuff like Green Lantern and Guardians of the Galaxy and all that sort of thing. But for me, I don't know. It's one step too far in terms of suspension of disbelief. Which is probably just a massive psychological flaw with me rather than anything else. Yeah, this looks good. Recommended. Like. Alright, and next we have the Ultimate Guide to Marvel's Black Panther. So this came out in 2018, so this would have come out just after or around about the time of the Black Panther movie. And this would have been when the Ta-Nehisi Coates run was in full flow. I have actually read this, and I read this as research before I did my Ta-Nehisi Coates reading guide video, which is something I dropped like a few weeks ago. So yeah, this is good. This is a good, solid coffee table book. Again, if you're a big fan of Black Panther, highly recommended. If you know anyone who's a fan of Black Panther, highly recommended. If you know someone who wants to become a fan of Black Panther, this is definitely good. Interesting, well put together, coherent. It's funny, one of the reasons I'm doing these videos is because I am conscious there is an absolute absence of these videos on YouTube. No one's really done overviews of DK books. People do overviews of comics, yeah, by all means, but no one really does an overview of a DK book. Which is kind of weird to me, because one of the things I thought when I saw these was, especially when they're shrink wrapped, you don't get a chance to flick through them. I want to know what's inside them. I want to know the level of depth and the level of complexity in the text. For a moment, I thought that was Thundercats. Okay, that's just me. Yeah, and so it's not like a comic where you open it and you got, well, even without opening it, you just know there's going to be a comic inside. With something like this, which is meant to be a guide, there's so much variation in terms of whether you can be a good guide, a really superficial guide, a well-constructed guide, that it's just weird that there's not actually a set of videos kind of explaining this. So, again, that's one of the reasons I wanted to do this. Black Panther, Most Dangerous Man Alive. This was a mini from the early 2010s, after the end of his 5th season, which ended in the noughties. And then I think this is really the last time we saw Black Panther headlining anything. He was then in the Hick Vengers run by Jonathan Hickman, but it took a while. It took at least 5 or 6 years before. Here you are. It took 5 or 6 years before he actually got into his own series again under Ta-Nehisi Coates. And here we have it. Once and Future King. Bit of information there. It is parallel. I didn't do this at the time because I wasn't doing a Black Panther reading order. I was doing a Ta-Nehisi Coates reading order. But at the time, he is part of the Ultimates, which is like a separate spin-off thing. Note, nothing to do with the Ultimate Universe. And I still need to read that. But yeah, this is good. If you're a Black Panther fan, check it out. And last, but by absolutely no means least, the Marvel Encyclopedia. This is huge. Like, it's not omnibus thick, but it is thick. This is, like, I don't know, comparison. Black Panther. You see? Like, not only is this, like, thicker, it's just bigger. This is huge. It's weird this doesn't come with a slipcase, because this is the sort of thing I would have thought they would have done a slipcase with. It's almost absolute size, in size. It's nice. I like the cover. I'll be honest, my spine is a little bit shonky and knackered, but I think this is a... What is this? This is a £30 book that I think I got for £1. So I'm not gonna complain about having a slightly wobbly spine. Came out in 2014. So in the midst of the MCU, I guess. Let's have a flick through it. So this, I haven't read all of this. I've flicked through it a little bit. But this is an interesting book in that it really goes through these small images more than anything else. It really goes for small images, small bits of information. Because it's so comprehensive. This is like an A to Z index of everything in the Marvel Universe. Not just Avengers, not just X-Men. Literally every goddamn thing, which is huge. Yeah, and so it's really comprehensive. What I would do is I'd have this in my house. This is obviously sort of before 2020, back when, you know, you could interact with other human beings. And people would come over and they'd open it and then they'd like quiz me with some random question. It'd be, you know, who is blindfold or something like that, and then see if I knew the answer. And what I found is, most of the time, I didn't. I had no idea. The Marvel Universe is much bigger than I think. And whilst I am like a big fan, I know quite a lot, and I guess I know maybe a bit more than the average. At the same time, there are just so many people out there who know so much more than me, and all this kind of information is just at their fingertips. Whereas for me, it's just stuff that I just haven't even come across, and it's fascinating. So I think this is going to be something I'm going to enjoy reading or dipping into. I don't think I could read this end to end because it's just too hardcore. That said, it's definitely a strong coffee table book, definitely a strong contender for the prize of your collection. If you do buy it, I would highly recommend it. I mean, it's so big and impressive that actually I wouldn't recommend necessarily getting it at retail, but if you can get it at a sale price or something, definitely worth picking up. Yeah, it's a good, strong contender. It looks like. Like I say, I haven't read it, only dipped into it a little bit, but definitely happy to have this in my collection. Cool, that's the last Marvel one that I have, everyone. And from my point of view, like I'm quite happy with my collection. There's still a few others I'm trying to track down. I know a Black Widow one literally just came out, but I haven't seen that anywhere on sale, so I haven't picked it up as yet. And I know there's a few. There's like a visual year by year guide, or it's not a year by year guide. It's an age by age guide for DC, where they have a guide for like Golden Age, a guide for Silver Age, Bronze Age, etc. So I was thinking of picking up, but it feels like it's a bit simplistic compared to a lot of the rest of the ones that I have. But yeah, this is the Marvel Encyclopedia. I'm conscious that if you're looking at this, you're thinking, well, this is basically like an old man's version of Wikipedia. Like someone's printed out Wikipedia and bound it in a book. Like, why on earth would you want this? And I get that. I get that. If you just want the information itself, there's always the internet, and the internet is always a good way to find that sort of thing. It can be hard to navigate, though. It can be contradictory, and you go on different websites and you have different sources. It can be kind of hard to piece it all together. This is all very nice and coherent. In that sense, I guess it's a lot like the Marvel. Don't you know the guide to the Marvel Universe, like the handbook to the Marvel Universe? I think they've done an omnibus of this recently, which is just lots of issues of information like this, essentially. Overview, really intense, really short burst information, encapsulating everything. And they've got that in omnibus now. So if you're the sort of person who enjoyed that, you're definitely going to be the sort of person who enjoys this. Cersei, I recently read the Eternals run, which she's in. Wasn't very good. Wasn't very good. She-Thing, no idea who that is. But yeah, there's loads of stuff in here which I just don't know, and I'm quite the comic fan, so it's really interesting to see that there's going to be so much still to come in terms of educating myself on this sort of stuff. Spider-Man, how many pages has he got? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. So, like, one of the biggest comic book heroes of our time has only got 4 pages. That gives you an idea of just how much is covered in this book and how much they've had to really like pare it down and keep it as lean as possible. Cool. I did a Thunderbolts reading guide on my channel. If you're interested, check that out. It's more complicated than it seems. Ultra Force, Ultron, Venom. Venom only gets a page. I mean, this is just kind of indicative of how huge the Marvel Universe is. Right, and then Wolverine, of course. I hope this was useful, guys. I hope this was interesting. I hope this informs your own purchases in case you want to try and get these. And if nothing else, as with everything else on my channel, I just wanted to put out some content that I haven't seen anyone else put out. It always annoys me when I do a search for something and I can't find it. That's often the motivation behind me making my videos. So, really detailed index, as you can imagine. And that was the end of it. Okay, well, I hope that was helpful. So this is the second and final overview of my DK comic books. Something I guess is a bit of a gap in the DK market is they've only done DC and Marvel. It'd be really nice to see them do a book like this for Top Cow, or for Image, or for Dark Horse, or for something like that. I'd love to pick those up. I'd love it if they made them. I don't know if they do. So there we are. What do you think about DK books? Do you own them? Do you buy them? Do you think they're good? Do you think they're bad? Let me know in the comments down below.
All right, thanks for watching, everybody. As always, please like, comment, subscribe. As always, please follow me on Twitter at I am Thomas Judge, where I will post a daily review of whatever comics I've been reading. You can get an idea of what I'm up to on the channel. And as always, please support the channel by heading over to Amazon.com and checking out my prose novel about superheroes. It's a completely original piece of work. The first episode in it is called Arrivals, and the series as a whole is called No Gods or Kings. You can find an excerpt of that on my website, nogodsorkings.com. Until next time, everybody, stay classy.